Hello everybody, here I am at Mount Rainier, and today we're going to talk about the movie called Hostile. In the end of the 19th century, at a lonely army barrack, we have a captain played by Christian Bale. He has sort of waged his own personal war against the Native Americans. He has he keeps them basically on a sort of long-term house arrest there, and some of them have grown up in these sort of barracks, but now they're going to be let loose out. And when one of his personal antagonists, Yellowhawk, is going to be not only released, but he's also going to be able to retreat to a location where he's allowed to, join his ancestors. The man is dying of cancer apparently, so he doesn't have a lot, fighting in him. Christian Bale hates Native Americans and especially Yellowhawk, and he's very reluctant to take on this one. In fact, he's so reluctant that the sequence where he's forced to do this mission is one of the movie's best sequences. It is a really good back and forth. Him, a couple of soldiers, a widow played by Rosamund Pike, whose entire family is butchered in the start of the movie by some Comanches, I think it is, in a very gruesome sequence, joins them also. And they're going to travel for a long while, and they have miles and miles and miles to go. So this is basically our movie. An army captain who hates Native Americans, and we have a dying enemy, and we have long trails to go. If you think you know how this movie ends, you are absolutely 100% correct, because it unfortunately totally is. The movie follows a very basic pattern. A. Walking and arguing. B. Attack, sorrow, death, and then proceed. So this movie is boring, this movie is predictable, and this movie is depressing. You probably would assume that this would mean that this movie is absolutely awful, but it really isn't. This movie really doesn't suck or anything. I mean, it has some good performances, especially from Christian Bale. You can tell that he has put a lot into this role to transform himself into an American army captain with hatred towards Native Americans, and he really does a fantastic job, but he's Christian Bale. Rosamund Pike is good as a widow, and the rest of the cast does a fairly good job. But the movie is just so boring, and it is so uninteresting, and I don't really care about what happens to either Yellowhawk, Christian Bale, Rosamund Pike, or any of the other characters. They are basically a bunch of red shirts walking around. The movie wants to be something. The movie really wants to be this grand, personal story, and story about the conflict between the Indians and the white men in the 19th century, and it could have worked. It really could have worked. It ticks every box you can possibly tick on a movie like this. And I just became so uninterested on the entire thing. Now, on the plus side of things, when things do happen, the action sequences has a lot of punch to it. When people get shot, and when people get stabbed, and when people get, it's brutal. It's really, really to the knuckles brutal, and it feels genuine and feels good. The problem is that we don't get enough of them, and we don't get really invested in what's happening. The movie has a pretty okay feeling You're feeling that you are in a time period, and you're feeling that you are, there, but it is not enough. This is an okay historical drama who has some terrible pacing issues, but there are sprinkles of real good in it. I give this movie 52. It has some really good parts, and it has some great cinematography, and it has some good acting, but the pacing is so incredibly all over the place, and it is, as I said, it's boring, it is depressive, and it is predictable. It's a drop on about, I don't know, 400 feet or something like that. the journey through America goes on, and the Viktrend is signing out.